Welcome to Landslide News. Sorry about that. Labour Party still not in good shape. I want to take this excuse. Okafor was the one that distracted me because he has not been here. So I want to give Okafor an opportunity to tell everybody
why I distracted you. Happy New Year. Well, I didn't distract you, but straight to the point. Abure, they are facing a tough battle now, but it's actually not a tough battle if before now, like we've always said, when that judgment came and both sides misunderstood the judgment or they understood it in a different manner, they needed to come together and approach INEC. Because if you look at that judgment, I still have a copy of it here. Yes, there were clear statements from the Supreme Court about the expiration of Abure-led leadership, Abure-led executives. There were clear statements there, but there was no statement saying that Nenadi Usman has become the national chairman of Labour Party. So, and by INEC, there must not be lacuna. What that meant was that the Congress held was not recognized. Another Congress needed to be held. The INEC needed to have sat and hold a fresh Congress and get a leadership that INEC could recognize. I agree. I've always known that you have always given the blame to INEC for not being transparent enough. Because when INEC, the last time we heard from INEC, they said they were studying the judgment. They didn't give us a time frame. Remember, I've told you that one of the worst things we have in this country is to not give a valid assignment to government officials, and it's robbing us every day. Any valid task must have 3 cardinal points. Yes. 1 is the scope of work you're going to do. 1, 2 is the cost of doing the work, money, human resources, whatever they're going to do. The 3rd one is the timeline, the delivery date that job must be done. You can't tell us, go to ordinary, you submit your license, you want to renew your license. Most people say we don't have paper. Those are nonsense. You submit your building plan, they will just do anytime they are ready. You get there, they'll tell you the deputy director is not on seat. So there is no timeline for them to deliver their job. It has created the highest level of inefficiency across all our government agencies. INEC said they were studying the judgment, if you remember. Yes. That was our last major valid statement on that.
Till now.
Yes. So how long? So if in a matter of national urgency of this nature, so INEC could have continued to study this judgment for years. They are the regulator. As a regulator, they have the right to tell these people, all you need to do is you have received the judgment of Supreme Court. This means that you will need to get a fresh executive from you. We didn't come to Oka, or even though we had come to Oka, it was in error because the Supreme Court has said that was not properly done. Because no matter what you do, once it's from our law, the court has a jurisdiction. A while ago, people were just talking about Fubara's impeachment and what the court was saying. Remember, the subsection 10 of the section 188 of the 1999 Constitution says that the proceedings of the State House of Assembly cannot be judged in any court. But meanwhile, if you remember the case of Adeleke Damanko, it has been established from that of Ladoja. It has been established that the procedures followed can be checked by the court because it's our law. It's from our constitution. Exactly. So it's the court that has the power to do so. So INEC, they just didn't do what they needed to do. But as it is, Abure has to face the fact and probably get another Congress conducted. Otherwise, whatever they are going to be doing, because what is the essence of a political party? To win election. If you don't have opportunity to submit a candidate, how do you win election?
From what I know, they are about, or whether they have had or about to have, congresses from the local government up to the state level that will also lead to the national congress. Now, if they are really serious about being on the opposition and doing what is right, can they do this very quickly?
But first and foremost, if by the judgment of the Supreme Court, the expiration of Abure tenure, the tenure of Abure has expired, then which leadership will conduct the new congresses that will be recognized by law? You see, one of the greatest problems we are having in this country is that our judicial system will make pronouncement and still leave loophole where conflict will regenerate again. You pass judgment that this tenure has expired, give a directive, you are the Supreme Court, as what to do. If they had given an express clear directive, INEC would not have been delaying in studying the rulings of the Supreme Court before they get to the stake they are. Because if now Abure conduct a new Congress and somebody challenge it that no, your tenure has expired so and so time,
it will still be under contention.
Yes, it will still be under contention.
But you agree with me that there is no room for a caretaker committee because the constitution doesn't provide for a caretaker committee.
But within the organ of the party, there are
the neck. I think what if you do something, for example, you did something as to when your tenure expired and they said that thing was not rightly done. There are many ways to look at it. Either the law could look at it that what you did was not valid and return everybody to that time with which you did it, because as at the time Abure conveyed for the convention, the question to ask, was it valid for Abure to have conveyed or notified an INEC for that convention? Was, as at the time he conducted specifically the INEC convention, was it in line with the law to conduct that convention? Was it allowed? Was he allowed? Was the INEC convention legally conducted? Let it be that constituted. Let it be that it was the procedure that was the issue. So if as at the time Abure was the one that conducted that election, that he was allowed by law to do so, when that anything was wrong in that convention, you can repeat a convention. But if as at that time that he was not even legally authorized to conduct that election, there is a NEC. But fortunately, that NEC, the chairman of that NEC is the national chairman of the party. And the constitution of LP itself does not create opportunity where you have an interim caretaker committee. How do you constitute it? If you want to have a body, there must be a body that is known to constitute it. There must be qualification of the person to be appointed into that office. There's nothing like that in LP constitution. That is why that of Nenadi didn't really fly with the law at all, even while there was expiration of Abure's tenure. The question they needed to do, when that has happened, there's no lacuna. There shouldn't be lacuna. Yes, they can convey another election. And let me be honest with you, putting this to P2B has very good followership across Labour Party. You can see it today. Okay, that time all they needed to do was to flood the whatever convention they have with their own delegates, and whoever P2B had asked them to vote in any of those conventions,
the person would have become the national chairman.
You
see, that's my issue with Peter Obi. Peter Obi never stood up to take authority over a particular place, and I've always said one of the reasons they have everybody everywhere is that he stood up and said Obidient don't belong to Labour Party alone. That statement was made in error. Now let's come to the issue of INEC. INEC in itself, when they received the judgment, studying it, they are still at the stage of study till today. INEC as a body has organ structures to be able to explain this thing and apply to the Supreme Court that we need clarification on what this ought to do. But INEC, I've always said that they are the major problem that we have.
Yes, no doubt. INEC has constituted major problem for our political. INEC is supposed to be a referee, and in football match, for example, referee are unbiased. They ought to be neutral in their approach, but rather, as constitutionally regarded as a neutral body, INEC has always played politics even more than the political parties. That has been the problem. Projecting a particular interest, frustrating a particular group in favor of another. Otherwise, as you just said, what stopped INEC from saying, Supreme Court, INEC has the legal department, isn't it? Supreme Court, you have ruled. So what do we do?
And now, if you see what is going on now, Obedience are coming out boldly to say that because P2B has moved to ADC, now the headache they were facing was P2B. INEC has now come out to say Abure tenure is expired. Why didn't INEC come out to say it before P2B moved to ADC? So for people now to be already destructing INEC how can they trust the election you are going to conduct? INEC really need to sit up to tell Nigerians that it took you all this while to study a judgment of how many pages. I mean, the legal department needs to be queried. They should be fired because there are a lot of Nigerians looking for a job. Those who are kept there that they've known the job and may not be coming out with the titles you don't know. I mean, this is an insult to the nation because this has been there. And for the fact that they kept recognizing Abure, any law-abiding Nigeria would naturally recognize Abure because that is, I mean, after there were glitches during our national, our last election. But who is your president today? He's Asiwaju. So you wouldn't blame anybody that has been recognizing Abure because INEC, who are the regulators, were recognizing Abure.
But now you will come to me that I have always been saying that INEC is one of our major problems.
Yeah, you have always said it.
And you know, most of the time we say we should apply to INEC. We don't, as an institution, as a body, there is an umpire. It's just like the football umpire. He goes to watch the review and he makes pronouncements
based on national importance.
Based on national importance.
Yes.
Now, what will you advise both INEC? INEC have made the pronouncement that Abure is illegally there. What will you advise Abure to do right now? What will work for Labour Party if they are really serious to be an opposition? What will you advise?
In fact, as it stands now, not just the Labour Party or Abure, the INEC itself, like I said earlier, they have legal department. They have studied the judgment. They need to chart a course now for the Labour Party.
Yes.
Because you say our tenure has expired.
So what's the next thing to do?
What do we do? It is the legal department and even also the Abure-led executive to also approach the courts
And ask for explanation.
and ask for explanation or ask for a direction. We want this is what you rule and what do we do next. In fact, it's not just about Labour Party alone with regard to INEC. Look at PDP. The headquarters of PDP has been locked down for over how many
2 months.
About 2 months now. There is nothing that is as important as the judiciary and INEC itself giving attention to that. Ekiti State election is coming up in Ekiti State. Yeah. INEC did not publish the name of a PDP candidate in that election. In FCT now, INEC did not publish the name of a candidate of a Labour Party in that election. So if INEC,
okay, now the question is, these individuals that INEC has caused damage, I think they should take INEC to court.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, because at the time, the Labour, I witnessed Labour Party primaries for this local council election. It was massively attended.
In
Gwarimpa it was massively attended. So these people on your website, they saw Abure as the national chairman. They aligned with them, and at the end of the day, you are now coming out for a judgment that had happened before then. To say you are studying the judgment, these candidates should take INEC to court for damages. Yes. And I tell you, each time you take any regulatory agency to court for damage, we should make a law that is not the only agency that will suffer whatever damage that is awarded by the court. The individuals involved should have a way of being penalized. Because if you take police to court and they award damage against the police service commission and the officer is not touched,
the personnel should be
taught. They should be held accountable both financially. That is the only way people will start. But the new INEC reform that is coming up, there is individual responsibility attached to it. We hope that reform goes through.
In fact, it shouldn't just be taking INEC to court to claim damage. INEC should be stopped. The election rather should be stopped. If you have denied a candidate in Ekiti State, you have denied the person the opportunity to participate for a reason that is not his fault, that person should go and seek for redress and ensure that the election is not conducted until that issue is addressed. Once we begin to approach issue from that angle, just like you gave 3 criteria in handling public issue, the time wasting will be curtailed. Rather than them wasting people's time, their opportunities and chances, if we put laws in place and approach it from that perspective, it will not take INEC 2 days to study and come out with the
It's a shame that INEC told Nigeria that they were studying the judgment.
Yes.
It's a shame. And like I said earlier, you are not going to blame anyone who has decided to follow Abure because that was what INEC was presenting.
And you know, here we normally say that whatever INEC puts forward,
They are the regulator.
That's what is
They are the regulator. They are the one that announced the winner.
I wonder who is on the list, whether Abure is still there on the portal of INEC that is still the chairman of Labour Party. And we wonder who is there now. Well, we'll be monitoring the situation, and I hope that Abure learns to do things right. INEC also, as a regulator, needs to do what is right and make sure that there's no lacuna in most of these things that we're saying. We'll be right back.